Now, I have been telling you for about 4 years now, President Trump will regain the Oval Office. You'll regain the presidency. We're a couple of weeks away from Trump, God willing, regaining the presidency and the Oval Office for the second time. It's going to be one of the most historic, wonderful days in American history. We'll finally have a functioning economy and a much infinitely better foreign policy. Okay? We can go on forever with why Trump is better than Harris. But hit subscribe to this channel, JPat09. Thank you so very much, as always, for being a member and for watching. Everyone here, thank you. If you want to give a super chat and give your thoughts, please do so. That would be fantastic. Hit subscribe to this channel, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get started. Just a little note, I will be back the beginning of November. Obviously, I will be with you November 5th and beyond. So I am going to build this channel up to 300,000 subscribers and beyond. It's going to be with your help. And I just want to thank everyone for their support and kind words and just for being here. It's really a privilege and an honor and a blessing to be on this, you could say, this journey or this political journey with you. Paul, thank you so very much as always. My goodness, Paul Bartlett, thank you, in Australia. Always, every single day, just being so wonderful and generous. And thank you, Paul. But ladies and gentlemen, I will be with you and I'll be back with you the beginning of November. So I just want to kind of make it clear that you might not hear from me in a couple of days, maybe a week, but I will be back the beginning of November, definitely November 5th. And what can I tell you? Stephen, thank you. D, everyone here. Barbara, hello. Everyone here. Music Therapy, hello. Monica, let's get started. Zeke, hello. Let's get started, everybody. But I will be back. Absolutely, definitely, beginning of November. Let's get started.
Wall Blitz, Ms. Perino, all right?
Well,
if she takes the blue wall and that one electoral vote in Nebraska, she'll get to 270. That's why she's doing it. Milwaukee today, areas of Detroit today, and also Philadelphia in the southeast corner today, all for Kamala Harris. Put all the polls together right now, super.
Really quickly, if Trump is up in Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin with about 2 weeks before November 5th, okay, you have to also factor in or acknowledge the fact that there's still 90% negative media coverage. That's the thing that I think most people don't understand. And when he wins on November 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, because he's not going to officially win until November 5th is, of course, the day that gets Trump into the Oval Office, but the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, that's how they like to do things now. But the fact that polls don't address negative media coverage is a huge issue.
Super close. This is, Pennsylvania trumps up 0.8 percentage points, right? Michigan trumps up about 1.2 percentage points. Wisconsin, it's less than 1 point between the two. Really, really close. Historically, this is something else, right? What was the old commercial? Ask Mikey because he likes it. All that stuff, right? Remember that? Okay, this is Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan. Going back to 1992, all three states voted for the same candidate, all three, and only one time was it a Republican, and that was Trump in 2016. Now you understand how the blue wall, tuck that sucker in there, how the blue wall got to become the blue wall, right? Here it is. This is Michigan in 2020, Biden less than 3 points, super close in Michigan. This is PA in 2020, right? Biden 1.2 points. I mean, Michigan's looking like a blowout right now. And this is Wisconsin from 2020, 0.6 points for Biden. Again, all three for three, going back to 1992, the vote as a block. Let's swing on over here, and we'll bring in our next guest to give us our best analysis coming our way.
I love having Kayleigh McEnany on a Monday. She's a co-host
but he's up by more in the aggregate of polls. No clear politics. But the thing is, ladies and gentlemen, you have to factor in the negative media coverage he's received. He's running, if you want to use a football analogy, an American football analogy, he's running a 4.340, okay, with a 100-pound backpack. He's running the 40-yard dash in a 4.3 or 4.4, which is a fantastic time, with a 100-pound backpack called the apoplectic, hysterical, extremely biased, overtly in the tank for the Democratic Party American media. So, I mean, nobody can withstand that. I mean, polls today and the polling analysis, I just don't get how when you have professors or experts saying, oh, well, Democrats are close, they have only positive media coverage. They have Kimmel, Colbert, Saturday Night Live, all of Hollywood, social media algorithms still. They have every major newspaper in a swing state. And they have the New York Times, MSNBC, CNN, the Washington Post, most of cable news, the Atlantic, all the major political publications are in the tank for the Democratic Party, overtly for the Democratic Party. That's why trust in media is at an all-time low. So if Trump is up in Michigan, for example, by an average of 1 or 2 or 3 points, it's really a lot more. When you factor in the negative media coverage, he's a lot more popular than people think.
So outnumbered, and maybe we'll just have to make you permanent Monday status here because you help us kick off the week. We know that Harris has no current plans to campaign with Biden, but I think that makes sense.
It makes total sense. Yeah. CNN said that one of her most popular moments in the debate.
Sion, hello. Hello, everybody. Thank you for watching.
According to internal polling, was when she said, clearly, I am not Joe Biden. We've all seen the data. We all saw NBC last week where 25% say Biden's policies have helped them. 44% said that about Trump. The data is clear. You must separate yourself. But she's apparently very loyal. That's what they've been backgrounding to reporters. The thing is, your loyalty might cause you a cross-country trip back to California, a move back in January, if you keep that loyalty.
Right. Speaking of California, here's the governor, Gavin Newsom, about how you can't do it. She tried to tell Peter Alexander this on Friday when she was in Michigan, because she had that comment about, even Mike Pence was loyal to Donald Trump. It's hard to get a separation between the two. Here's Newsom making a point in a different way now.
She sees the world with her own set of eyes, her own unique experience, her own journey. By definition, she's a change candidate. She's a generational candidate in that respect. She's also the vice president of.
If indeed Harris is a generational candidate, why didn't Harris win a primary? There was 0 primaries that Harris won. Not 4 years ago, not this year. Actually, Joe Biden won the primary. And then what happened? They ousted him because the charade was over. I mean, everyone knew there were issues. He was 1 fry short of a Happy Meal. Okay, the lights were on, but nobody's home. And they likely should have kept up the charade because they would have gotten maybe closer to taking it from Trump. But if Harris is a generational candidate, why didn't she win a primary? That makes no sense. If you want to say, well, she was vice president, okay, what about the initial? I don't believe Harris even got enough support 4 years ago to actually enter the Democratic primary. So how on earth is she a generational candidate? What they did to Biden, by the way, is like infinitely worse than what they did to Bernie Sanders, which was also, of course, they railroaded Bernie Sanders. We all know that. I'm the only person on the planet still talking about that.
Of the United States, and I think it's an almost impossible position to be in. If she separates too much, it becomes then the new narrative where we zig and zag to that narrative and not to what she wants to focus on.
I think a lot of what he says is right.
Yes.
Do you think she's going to zig and zag successfully this?
He has a point. And look, I thought her answer to Peter Alexander was her best answer yet on the topic. It is right. She said it's not helpful to the relationship between a president and a vice president to have this separation. And then she went on to say, I'd prioritize housing and Medicare in a different way. That's a really good answer. But why didn't you do that the first time and the second time? Why has it taken this long to get to that answer, which I think is the honest one?
Mm-hmm. And I also think that in a way, if I may say, the burden is not necessarily hers, right? So Biden, when he said, this is my decision, even if it wasn't, and I'm going to do this, and he should have given her permission to say, you can distance from me. My feelings are not going to be hurt. I know you're a loyal person, but that didn't happen. But speaking of the switcheroo, apparently Nancy Pelosi is not happy. There's a new book by Jonathan Alter called American Reckoning. And she says she's not happy that the only bloody fingerprints on the knife were hers when it came to getting Biden out, and that Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, and other Democratic leadership were in on it, but they didn't take any of the hits.
This was the most overt, transparent charade in American political history. Everyone knew that we had a president who was one fry short of a Happy Meal. The lights were on, but nobody was home. And, what can you say? There wasn't much upstairs. There still isn't. We still don't know if we have a functioning leader of the executive branch. Have you seen him? And so this is the man that didn't campaign really 4 years ago, had basically nobody hear him speak. Same thing with Harris. The only difference is that they don't have Twitter. They don't have the trust and safety, wonderful people at Twitter. X is now controlled by Elon Musk, where you can have actual conversations. It's called free speech. And then the Democrats or the far left say, you can't read this book. It's like, well, yeah, there are age limits for various topics. That's obvious. But you can actually talk about news stories detrimental to the Democratic Party or the Republican Party. We couldn't talk about Hunter's laptop 4 years ago. So that curtailed our ability to critique Biden and question, everything from loyalty to pay-to-play schemes to possible national security disasters. We've seen national security disasters left and right in this administration, the border being one of them. But Democrats vote for Harris because they don't see these things as detrimental to the country. They don't see endless military conflicts throughout the world as detrimental to the country. And I'm not being flippant. They just don't. They just think that it's just the way it is. They don't see the calamity, the human rights atrocities taking place in the southern geographic region of our country. They don't care about it. It's not even an issue for the wonderful, highly educated, morally superior liberal Democrats. It's not a national security concern for a voter of Harris, what's taking place in terms of immigration. It's not a national security concern, what's taking place throughout the world. It's not inflation. It's not an economic concern. So these things, the reasons that you and I are voting for Donald Trump, those don't resonate to Harris voters. Most Harris voters don't like Trump's personality. They don't care about inflation, interest rates, mortgage rates, foreign policy. They don't care. They don't like Trump's personality, and that's it. But that's not enough anymore to stop Trump. That's like I said, the man is running, if you use a football analogy, a 4.2, 4.3 40 with a 100-pound backpack called American media.
That's 100% correct. So when you go back and look at how this saga played out, there was a July 5th comment by Nancy Pelosi saying it's a legitimate question to ask whether Biden had an episode or a condition. Then you go to July 10th and she's out on Morning Joe and she has that famous comment where she says we're all waiting on Biden to make his decision after he had already made his decision to stay in the race. Jake Sherman says that was like a bomb that went off and gave permission for Democrats to distance themselves from Biden. Then Schiff comes out and all of this happens, and it isn't until July 18th that we get one signal that Obama's not on board via a story in the Washington Post that popped during the RNC. It was Nancy Pelosi leading the way. And she has a point. Where was Obama and Schumer? They were very late to the game.
She's not afraid.
No, she's not, and she's a queen maker.
I always thought that Obama waited a week because he didn't want to have his fingerprints on the gun.
Yeah.
I thought that was his strategy.
Well, also, they
right.
might have wanted, I think also they thought that perhaps having a mini primary was better than the situation they have now.
I think at the time, many of them did feel that way. I think this is still the best political story that's yet to be written in the United States.
Absolutely. And interestingly, that book says if they would not.
One of the reasons Trump will win, and I've been telling you, ladies and gentlemen, for 4 years now, one of the reasons is that we didn't really have a traditional president with Biden. We had Biden and Harris, Clinton, Bush, Clinton, Bush, Obama, Trump. Every president we've ever had, including the ones that I just mentioned, especially President Trump, they have a vision for the country. They decide, and they decide foreign policy, they decide economic policy, and they have advisors that, help them, but the advisors don't really decide. Most the presidents that we've had up to Biden, the team of advisors don't decide anything. They help the president accomplish his vision of the future. Not so with the current wonderful president we've had, mashed potato brains. Not so. Democrats in the Oval Office now they govern through a consensus of former, likely, I'm just going out on a limb here speculating, likely a consensus of former Obama and Clinton advisors. That's the consensus of liberal Democrats who have advised former Democratic presidents is leading this country, in my humble view. Again, that's okay for Harris voters. That they're fine with that. That's why the average Democrat, if you put a D next to like a house cat or a fern or an empty chair, they'll say that's fantastic. That should be the president, because they don't want. They don't seem to care about an actual human being with a vision. Like John Kennedy had a vision. JFK had a vision of, and then we saw, he had a vision, and he didn't actually listen to his advisors when they told him to invade Cuba. And could you imagine a consensus, a team of former Clinton advisors and former President Obama advisors advising Biden during a Cuban Missile Crisis? So you need somebody with wisdom. Trump has wisdom. That's why we had trade deals that were renegotiated. That's why he was the first president to step foot in North Korea. That's why we didn't have all of these quagmires, these endless military quagmires and wars throughout the world. And we had a great economy with Trump. But anyway, let's continue.
The liberal media is melting down over former President Trump's appearance at a McDonald's location in Pennsylvania. Former president swapped his suit jacket for an apron and started to work at the fry station.
Hello, everybody.
Sir.
My first day at McDonald's. I'm looking for a job.
Hello, President Trump. I'm Derek Giacomontoni. I'm the owner.
Oh, well, that's a good owner. Must be a wealthy guy, huh? Thank you very much. Well, I'm looking for a job, and I've always wanted to work at McDonald's, but I never did.
This is in there. She has an apron for you.
Oh,
and good job on your first day.
I think I should take
President Trump.
Should I take off my jacket? I think so. The press wants to see this. How are you? He's a wealthy guy. He owns a lot of McDonald's, that guy. That's great. Thank you. Okay.
Yes, you got.
Well, Trump got the job, and here he is handing out orders to excited customers.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
Look at all the fake news over there. Hello, everybody.
You can fake this,
And
right?
you know this is compliments of Trump, okay?
Yes, thank you. Mr. President,
Yes.
please don't let the United States become Brazil, my native Brazil.
We'll keep it
Please,
good.
Please.
We're going to make it better than ever, okay? Look at that. Look at that. How are you?
Thank you, Mr. President.
Nice to see you. How are you?
You made it possible for ordinary people like us to meet you.
You're not ordinary.
I mean, thank you so much
You
for
are not
everything.
ordinary. I can see.
We pray for you, and you are the type of person we want to be the president.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
And he found time.
This is an absolute nightmare for Democrats. The highly educated, morally superior liberal Democrats view Trump to be an abomination, the most evil man who's ever existed. Freddy Krueger and Jason from Friday the 13th are like angels compared to Trump, to the average, highly educated, morally superior liberal Democrat who disowns friends and family because of politics. It's a religion for many wonderful, highly educated, morally superior liberal Democrats. They're good people. They are good people. A lot of them are. They're wonderful. They are, look, serious talk. Seriously, there's a lot of wonderful, beautiful liberal Democrats, good people, but they view politics to be a religion. And to see customers at a McDonald's, liking Trump, it's like the worst nightmare for Democrats, because Democrats have spent every single waking moment for 8 years desperately trying to convince the public that Trump is the most evil and the most belligerent and the most horrible person who's ever existed. And he is about to win the Oval Office again. Like I've been telling you for 4 years, he's going to do that.
Time to do his other job of running for president by talking about his opponent, Kamala Harris.
I love McDonald's. I love jobs. I like to see good jobs. And I think it's inappropriate when somebody puts down all over the place that she worked at McDonald's. It was a big part of her resume that she worked at McDonald's, how tough a job it was. She specifically worked at the French fry, where they make the French fries, and she talked about the heat. It was so tough. She never worked at McDonald's. McDonald's just confirmed that again, by the way. She never worked at McDonald's. In other words, she's lying Kamala.
And Tim Walz never was anywhere near Tiananmen Square during the protests. He also stated that you have a stolen valor issue with Tim Walz also. He stated that he was, who knows exactly what he stated, that he was in battle, fighting for the country. So Tim Walz, they say like Trump lies so much. Trump doesn't lie. He's the most honest politician we've ever had. That's why Democrats don't like him, because he's so honest. If you don't ever debate a liberal Democrat about Trump, because they turn into like the character in Lord of the Rings, the little like monster. But if you were to ever debate, ask, well, what did Trump lie about? They can't name a specific lie. They can't. Like maybe a Sharpie or whatever. Like Clinton had private servers with top secret intel on them. Nobody knows how she transferred the classified data, and she said she did so for convenience. This is, of course, a grandiose lie linked to national security. Trump has nothing like that. Nothing like that. Harris said she worked at McDonald's. She never worked at McDonald's, almost certainly. Walz has stated a whole bunch of things. Biden has been accused of plagiarism and a whole bunch of things. Says that he was like during, Biden has claimed numerous times he was present during marches of the civil rights movement. He never was. So, Democrats lie all the time. That's all they do. They said that Biden wouldn't step down. Biden himself said he wouldn't step down. He did. God bless this man. God bless Donald Trump. I mean, you have a great foreign policy and a great economy with Donald Trump. I think you owe it to future generations of Americans to vote for this man. I certainly am. I'm going to vote for this, obviously. Probably early voting.
Now, McDonald's said they don't have records going back to the 80s. They put out this long statement where they seem kind of enthusiastic to have Trump there. They also welcomed Kamala to come. But Carly, I saw these videos, and I thought, this is some of the best retail politics, if not the best I've ever seen in my entire political lifetime. But the press, here is what they said. They see it totally different. French cuffs and French fries at Donald Trump's McDonald's gig. Rolling Stone, Trump makes fries at McDonald's, bizarre attempt. Washington Post, you see this.
Why does Rolling Stone, The Independent, The Washington Post, and The New York Times, and then you can add about 30 other publications, why are they all against Trump? Where's the one 30-year-old reporter or journalist at Rolling Stone who is a Trump supporter? Why is that a fantasy? Why is that impossible? Why would it be impossible to find one journalist at Rolling Stone, one journalist at the New York Times, one journalist at the Washington Post, or one journalist? I think the Independent has one, or but why is that impossible to find a Trump supporter at the New York Times? This is why trust in media is at an all-time low. And furthermore, like Rolling Stone, I just remember growing up really reading Rolling Stone. They never really focused on politics at all. They never focused on politics at all.
Stage managed campaign stop. Well, yeah, it's stage managed because Iran has hit him on a hit list and have to protect the guy. This was objectively incredible.
Yeah, it's like we are 15 days until the presidential election, so everything Donald Trump does is going to be a level 10 controversy by some members of the media. And if I could just read a little bit from New York Magazine, because I laughed at how they characterized this stop as well. They said, so in an effort to highlight his claim that Kamala Harris never worked at McDonald's, Trump pretended to work at a closed McDonald's where he served pretend orders to supporters pretending to be customers. Hopefully the fries weren't cold, they said. So like this was I wouldn't even call it a standard campaign.
Some media's like, Trump worked at McDonald's. What an evil, horrible thing that took place. And everyone else is like, wow, Trump worked at McDonald's. It's amazing. And the customers were there they weren't just supporters, they were actually there. And then of course the Secret Service made sure that they were like, normal, good people. And it was wonderful. But see, again, like, would you want Biden to serve you any food? I mean, I'm not trying to be mean here. Like, I'm not trying to be mean. I wouldn't. I would not. I wouldn't want, but if you had a choice between Donald Trump serving you food or Biden serving you food, just from a purely, culinary, or I should say, like, like a sanitary discussion of things, I wouldn't want Biden anywhere near my food for a number of reasons that, you know what, we don't even have to get to.
Campaign stop, I do think that it was creative, but it's retail politics. It's been going on for generations, and they're trying to make it seem like he's tricking voters into thinking something that it wasn't. And, I think that just because you don't like a candidate doesn't mean that everything they do is bad. And I think a good example of that actually happened at the Univision Town Hall when both Donald Trump and Kamala Harris were asked to name 3 things that are good about the other person. And they were both able to come up with something. So maybe we can use them as examples that not everything is terrible.
Yeah, Kamala could only name 1, and Trump rattled off 3 things he liked about Kamala. It was pretty endearing.
Yeah.
Kamala Harris tried her creativity over the weekend by rolling out the surrogates. Let's watch.
This is how a bad saves democracy. You couldn't even spell democracy.
So that was Lizzo Harris. She campaigned over the weekend for Kamala. I mean, we'll leave it to viewers who is more effective.
Look, I'm not mad at that white suit. That looked good, Lizzo. It looks pretty. Look, they're going to do everything they can. It's closing arguments time. And that's, again, why, and you brought up a good point, Carly, why both of them could be doing all these things. I mean, Kamala could have gone to McDonald's before he got there.
Yeah.
Right? She could have done that. She could have told more detailed, rich, and enhanced memories of her time there. I learned from my aunt and uncle and working at their franchise 7-Eleven how to be a good coworker, how to be that person who appreciates the viewer, now customer, of what we do. And I was really young, like really young. But my dad lectured me about what taxes would look like out of the paycheck. I mean, no, I'm too old now to have like all of that, and both my parents are gone. And she's about the same age I am. But we don't forget those early moments. Yeah. Why not share that? Or go make some new ones.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I volunteer. If 7-Eleven calls me, I can make a Slurpee.
Yep.
I mean, I'm happy to do it. I'm not running for anything, though. She is. So he took all of the chicken nuggets off her plate when he made it to McDonald's first. But her campaign, that's what I was saying earlier. Why didn't her campaign just jump on the Getty Up and go do it?
Yeah. It's a great point.
Because about 50 to 75 public relations executives within the Democratic Party filter every word, every movement, every decision through 35,000 focus groups and 10,000 surveys and, public relations executives and PR firms, and nothing they do is scripted. Donald Trump is off the cuff. He's impromptu. He goes on hilarious tangents. They desperately try to make Trump like Biden, who the poor man is. There's the issues there we don't have to get into. But they don't understand Trump's personality, or they do, and they just try to like twist the narrative. Trump is hilarious. Trump is funnier than most comics today. And not like unintentionally, like when he'll go off and talk about something in a hilarious moment, and the entire crowd in a rally or in a speech is like laughing. Trump is a real person. Democratic politicians are like artificial intelligence robots that are programmed by endless public relations executives. And basically, it's the liberal algorithm that they have to adhere to.
You know, I remember working at Hollister in high school and having to ask customers, have you heard how great our jeans fit? It was pretty lame in hindsight.
No, that's good. I like Hollister.
Kaylee, this love of Donald Trump for McDonald's, it is not stagecraft. It is indeed real. I've witnessed it. And I want to walk down memory lane. This is Donald Trump with grimace.
I don't know how you do it. I really don't. I put together some really impressive deals. But this thing you've pulled off, it's amazing. A big and tasty for just $1? How do you do it? What's your secret? You're a man of few words. I like that.
He also brought fast food for the Clemson team to the White House. We'll put up that image, Kaylee.
The reason why this campaign event.
Oh my God, did they make a big deal about this? I don't know if you remember, but the hysteria, the absolute unmitigated apoplectic hysteria when everything he did, but like 2019, we had a great economy, great foreign policy. Oh my God, how disrespectful. Trump, he brought fast food to the, national title team. Oh my God. And it's like, nobody cared. The championship players didn't care. It's like they so desperately tried to make Trump into this villain. And he is literally a walking Americana. Like he's Americana in human form, Trump.
Was so successful is, yes, it's trolling at Kamala Harris a little bit, but think about what Trump did here. He has proved that there is dignity in all labor, that all workers are important. Amen. No matter where you work. And I actually think this is part of the reason why no one can verify whether Kamala Harris actually did work at McDonald's, why she didn't include it on her resume.
There was a second, who was it? It was one Democratic candidate, shall remain nameless, who said that she tried to join the Marine Corps. And if you believe that, oh my God.
Because maybe she was embarrassed or ashamed of the fact that she worked at a McDonald's.
I pray that's not right.
And what is...
I believe it was Hillary Clinton. Don't quote me on. I believe it was Hillary Clinton that said she, for a second, thought of joining the Marine Corps, almost joined. I'm not exactly... It was either the Marines or the Army. I'm not exactly sure.
What is Trump doing here? He is proving to the American people that it does not matter what you do, does not matter whether you're lower class, middle class, or upper class. Every single job has value. And that makes me think of my mother-in-law, who has worked at an auto factory since she was 16, or my mom, whose job at McDonald's was actually her very first job ever. It's such an important message, and I think that's why it's appealing to so many voters.
Jason, and then he went to the Steelers game where there were chants of USA.
Hey, this is the happiest Happy Meal I've ever seen, because not only did you get the media meltdown, but we're talking about McDonald's. Nobody likes McDonald's more than I do, except probably President Trump, because I tell you, 2 old beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, on a sesame seed bun is going to happen in about 15 minutes when we're done with this show. I can tell you that. But it was great. And look at the contrast. You have Lizzo getting on a private jet. What American relates to that? Everybody can relate to McDonald's.
I know. Well, I hope when I roll up to Taco Bell next time, Donald Trump's handing me my Crunchwrap Supreme. That would be phenomenal.
Hey, everyone. I'm Emily.
So Trump relates to pretty much everyone in the country. He really does. When you remove the apoplectic media, the intense media animosity towards Trump, I mean, it's like, how can you not appreciate the man? Because they take his words out of context. The things that they accuse Trump of saying, he literally never said. The things they accuse Trump of doing have been reported by former and current U.S. officials. Almost everything negative you've heard about Trump, oh, he was this and that. Almost everything negative you have heard about Donald Trump is a lie by omission. And don't ever, like I said, don't get into any debates with any liberal Democrat before or after November 5th, because they will believe things that are not true. And if you call them on it, oh my God, it's the end of the world. They turn into the monster in Lord of the Rings.
Way through the blue wall states today with stops in Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan. She's going to be on the road a lot. Even Democrat governors in those states can't help but admit the race is coming down to the wire.
I know you're saying you have faith in these voters, but the polls just aren't showing it.
Listen, the only people that are not surprised about these polls are us three. We all expect this. We are.
Two of the three I know, and the Michigan governor in particular, had scandals involving nursing homes, campaign donation scandals, that it's been reported that Trump is going to look into with the DOJ.
We are not upset about it. We're not scared. We got a better candidate. We've got receipts on the issues that matter to the American people, on the economy, individual rights.
The economy, Trump overwhelmingly defeats Harris.
It's affordable housing, etc.
I'm feeling really good, not just about the way the votes seem to be lining up as we get close to the end here, but the enthusiasm we have.
I feel confident that it's going to be much larger than the last time.
Big statements there. Caroline Leavitt, the Trump 2024 National Press Secretary. She joins us now. Caroline, publicly, you heard it right there. They're expressing real confidence in Kamala. What are they telling people behind the scenes, do you think?
Well, I think they're telling them, we got to get our act together, you guys, because President Trump is going to win the blue wall states of Michigan, Wisconsin, and also Minnesota.
If you're watching in Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Pennsylvania, he only needs one of those states, by the way, because Trump will get Georgia and Arizona, and Nevada he'll get also. There's a chance he gets Virginia, okay? There's actually a good chance he gets Virginia. But he doesn't need all of them. Harris needs all of them. And Democrats usually get all of them, okay? Biden had a better chance to get the Rust Belt than Harris. Okay, a Democrat from San Francisco, not as good of a chance as Biden, who, has decades of, from the area, from the region, and decades of, party loyalty there. Trump only needs one. He might get 3 or 4, he might get 2, but he only needs one. I mean, November 5th, ladies and gentlemen, on this channel, for people who have known, I used to be the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet, according to the Huffington Post, and the unofficial scribe of Sanders' most hardcore voters, according to the Washington Post. Embarrassing to both me and Bernie Sanders, I'm sure. I've been supporting President Trump for years. And if I could go back in time, in 2015, 2016, I would have written about Trump, not Bernie Sanders. But November 5th, well, okay, we'll find out he's president probably the 10th. But November 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th is going to be a very important time in U.S. history. One of the most beautiful, amazing, momentous, profound moments in U.S. history, where a man not only went up against an entire political establishment, the Democratic Party, but also the Republican Party and U.S. media and global media, and won. Trump is the embodiment of what somebody can do in a positive light. Because if you look, the economy was a great economy. We had an anti-war foreign policy. They talk about Trump being like, Democrats try to disparage him, but in reality, he's a much better human being than previous presidents. Biden, Obama, Clinton, Bush, especially, because Trump did not start a war. The presidents I mentioned did or continued major military quagmires and made the world less safe. Trump made the world more safe. That's a fact. It's not even up for debate. You look at his tenure, what took place, and then you look at what happened before and after Trump. But let's continue.
He's trending in the right direction. This morning, for the first time, the Real Clear Politics average shows President Trump leading in every single battleground state. And as we released a couple weeks ago, our internal data shows the same. That's why you see the Democrats are panicking. And Kamala Harris is really changing her message. She came into this race as the candidate of joy. And now the last couple of weeks, if you've noticed, she's become very angry, very defensive, resorting to their shameful attacks, comparing President Trump to Hitler, calling him a threat to democracy, now saying he's exhausted, which is a joke. And the American people aren't buying it, and you're seeing it reflected in the polling.
Okay, so Caroline, I thought this was really interesting. I want to play a compilation of political ads from Bob Casey in Pennsylvania, Tammy Baldwin, Wisconsin, and Elisa Slotkin in Michigan, all Democrat.
More Americans are identifying as Republican than Democrat, which is a very good sign for President Trump and for his campaign. The Democrats see that, and now they're trying to cozy up to him, which again is so disingenuous, because these are the very same Democrats and people who have been calling him a threat to democracy for years. And if you really believe that in your heart, why would you put him in an ad? They don't believe it. It's a lie. They've been running on this lie. And again, the American people are not buying it.
Yeah, they really aren't. And the fact that they have done this speaks volumes.
After 2 attempts on Trump's life, they changed. Oh, he's weird. I mean, the public relations spin knows no bounds.
To your point. But I do want to touch on this latest transition in the campaign the last 2 weeks. You mentioned it. It's no longer joy and hope and vibes and all that stuff. It's Donald Trump has a mental decline as a campaign spokesperson.
So it was so obvious for 4 years with Biden. They're like, how do we turn Trump into Biden? It's like they say, oh, Trump is an 80-year-old. So what? It was never about Biden's age, ever. It has nothing to do with age. Okay, I have an aunt who lived to like 97, 96. Smarter, sharper than a 20-year-old person. Okay, it has nothing to do with age, isn't a number. It's the decline that Biden happened to experience. It has nothing to do with age. If you have a 90-year-old with wisdom and intelligence and who can, remember what happened the other day or the other year or 10 years prior or 20 or 30 years, great, fine. I don't care. If you possess wisdom, then govern the country. But if it's obvious that there's a mental and physical decline, it's obvious, and then you oust the person in the most unethical, vile, despicable, nefarious manner, and they're like, oh, he did it for the country. It's like, no, you ousted him. You removed the man who won a primary because you don't even have a functioning primary. You can ask Bernie Sanders, but you did so because you tried to deceive people for 4 years into thinking that he was just fine. And then, there were YouTubers who were like, oh yeah, Trump has the mental decline, not Biden. And then they oust Biden, and then they say that Trump is the issue, when in reality he's sharp as a tack.
Can you 100% confirm that is not happening? And what is the campaign's response to that when there is an out-and-out lie, which I'm assuming you're going to say it is?
It's unequivocally false. President Trump has more energy and a harder work ethic than anyone in American politics. He has been barnstorming the country for months. There are 15 days to go, and he will be on the road holding multiple events every single day. Yesterday, he was at a McDonald's. Then he went and held a town hall. He made an appearance at Sunday Night Football in Pittsburgh last night. Today, he's touring storm damage in Asheville, North Carolina. Then he's going and doing a rally. Then he has an event tonight with faith leaders to get out the vote. This is what he does every single day. And the American people believe what they see with their own eyes. And that is Donald Trump barnstorming the country day after day and state after state, working to earn the votes of the American public.
Nothing says Donald Trump and his charisma and his influence on American politics than Trump getting indicted, convicted in New York for purely partisan political reasons, and then months later going to the Al Smith dinner and wrecking the entire Democratic Party without the Democratic candidate there, by at least Hillary Clinton. I don't usually say too many wonderful things about the Clintons. At least Hillary Clinton went to the Al Smith dinner and then had to listen to Trump, completely just take a wrecking ball to the entire Democratic Party, including her candidacy. At least Clinton had the courage, or whatever. At least Hillary Clinton went to the Al Smith dinner. Harris did not. Nobody knows why. Why not? That's a tradition and then they say, oh, tradition. It's like, oh, okay. And this is a man, by the way, who was convicted in New York, purely partisan. It was unconstitutional, the conviction. A state cannot define what an FEC violation is. So it's purely unconstitutional. The Supreme Court, when it gets to the Supreme Court, they'll completely toss it out, just like they've done with every other attempt by Democrats. But it's just Trump's amazing.
Let's talk about the schedule for Kamala Harris. She's going to be with Liz Cheney the whole day. They're making stops in Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. Let's hope they like each other, because that's a lot of travel for two ladies.
You have Kamala Harris traveling with Liz Cheney. Liz Cheney voted over 90% of the time alongside Trump and lost by 40 points in Wyoming. I don't get it. Where is this conservative Republican who is like, oh, Liz Cheney? Oh, good. Oh, the days of Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld. They're good Republicans. We had a stock market crash, and I still think we will, with Bush, and Bush began endless wars, which Democrats don't care about. I had friends, why are you voting for Trump? I'm like, well, he's an anti-war candidate. So what? They don't. Wonderful, highly educated, morally superior liberal Democrats are, wonderful, beautiful, amazing people. Many, like any human being, they could be amazing human being, wonderful people. Okay. They don't care about foreign policy. At least they don't care about endless military conflict. They don't. You have a whole entire voting segment of liberal Democrats who never cared about politics. And they read the New York Times since 2016 and the Washington Post. Suddenly they started reading the New York Times. And for 8 years, they've been, indoctrinated with liberal talking points. And when Trump regains the Oval Office, they will have no answer to why it happened. Imagine you've devoted your entire life to believing that Trump is a menace to society, only to have him win again. Imagine. How do you think? Cognitive dissonance will be very interesting.
Their goal, of course, is to appeal to the anti-Trump Republican. Is there any concern? Can you respond to that from the campaign? Any concerns there?
In this election, at this point in the race, that type of Republican doesn't exist anymore, except for Liz Cheney, who lost her race with more than 70% of the vote, by the way, largest defeat in American history. I don't think people are listening to what she has to say. These so-called Republicans who are now campaigning with Kamala Harris are more driven by their hatred for Donald Trump than their love for this great country.
That's the truth, ladies and gentlemen. I love you, everybody here. I will be back, ladies and gentlemen. I have to take care or address something pretty awesome, thank God. So only good things, thank God, the next week or so. And I will be back the beginning of November. Each and every one of you watching, if you've watched since 2016 or even late 2015 when I did a segment every other month or something like that, I just appreciate your support. God bless you. Around the world watching this channel, I'm so blessed to have, a growing YouTube channel and for many years. And I love you all and God bless you all. And I will see you the beginning of November, November 5th. We're going to have amazing live streams. Obviously, there's about 7, 8, 9, 10 channels that you'll probably be watching even before mine or alongside mine that are just amazing as well. Probably more than that. But I will be back definitely the beginning of November. So don't think that, I'm no longer, on the planet or whatever. I will be back, God willing. And what can I tell you other than Trump's going to win again? I've been telling you pretty much every day for the last 4 years. And it's going to be the most amazing, wonderful, beautiful, momentous, historic. Okay, we're witnessing history. We're witnessing one man, Donald Trump, going up against an entire political machine. A political machine of Republicans, of Democrats, of media around the world. Not just, there are publications around the world who despise Trump. And this man is the only human being in the history of the planet who could have withstood 24/7 negative media coverage, and the attempts, God bless him, on his life, and that man whose life was taken in Pennsylvania when they tried to take Trump's life. I mean, God bless that man's family, and it's unbelievable, like, how media has downplayed that. But it's like, you look, ladies and gentlemen, can you name another person who could have withstood what Trump withstood to regain the Oval Office? I can't. Anyway, God bless America. God bless you. See you in the beginning of November. Thanks, everybody. Hit subscribe. Tell your friends about this channel. Please be here